Hey everyone, welcome back to another Android H21 video. Today we are going to talk about, or do a hot take. This was originally supposed to be November, and it was supposed to be Noah Gragson, actually not Noah Gragson, why the chase system, or playoff system is good, and that aged well. I also now have a script. Toyota's driver development system is flawed. They have managed to damage the careers of numerous drivers who could have ended their careers. First driver we will look at is Rafael Lesser, who in 2020 was driving the 4 for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series. He had a win in 4 top 5s this season, which is good considering he was a rookie and there was no practice in all but 2 of the races. Toyota dropped him for John Hunter Nemechek, who was coming off a mediocre season with Front Row Motorsports. As of this writing, he has a partial schedule of GMS racing. He may or may not race for another team in the races he is with GMS. Having a mediocre Cup driver who you can't develop is not as good as a promising young driver who can develop. Next we'll turn to Noah Gragson, who had 2 wins, 12 top 5s, and 2 seasons driving the 18 for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series. Instead of moving him up to Xfinity, they dropped him in favor for Brandon Jones, who had 1 top 5 and 17 top 10s and 71 starts in the Xfinity Series. Since then, Jones has 4 wins, which were based off of luck, to Gragson's 2, which were based off of skill. Gragson has had 26 top 5s to Jones' 16. Gragson has Jones beat on top 10s, 47 to 35. These stats prove Toyota got the worst driver when they could have had the best. The third driver we'll look at is Riley Herbst, who in 2020 was driving the 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series. Herbst was a rookie in the Xfinity Series who had no prior full-time series in any NASCAR National Series. There was no practice for the majority of the year, which could not allow him to get the much-needed track time. He had 4 top 5s and 17 top 10s, which was a little below average. Joe Gibbs Racing decided to get rid of him in favor for Daniel Hemric, who in 175 National Series starts, all in equipment that could win races, has won nothing. Riley has now signed with Stewart-Haas Racing in the Xfinity Series, which is an upgrade. One of the most successful drivers in Toyota's driver development program is Daniel Suarez, the 2016 Xfinity Series champion with Joe Gibbs Racing. In 2017, Gibbs decided to move him Cup to replace the retiring Carl Edwards and stayed with the team for 2 seasons. This 2 seasons, he had 4 top 5s and 12 top 10s, which isn't good, especially when you compare it to Erik Jones, who had a win, 4 top 5s, and 32 top 10s with similar equipment and experience. So they got rid of Suarez for MTJ Martin Truex Jr., who was a former champion. Gibbs also provided parts for Levine Family Racing, who had 3 top 5s and 7 top 10s, with Matt DiBenedetto compared to Suarez, who had 4 top 5s and 11 top 10s, but in better equipment. So instead of moving him to a worse car in the Toyota fleet, Toyota gives him a boot for a worse driver. Next, we will look at Kyle Benjamin, who had the shortest stint at Toyota. In 2017, Kyle had 5 starts for Joe Gibbs Racing, and those he had a top 5, a top 10, 2 poles, which isn't bad for a driver who had no other experience in any national series. He was slated to drive that car full-time next year. Instead, the ride went to Brandon Jones, who had 3 top 10s and a pole in the full season. The next year, fortunately, Benjamin had 3 starts with a top 5 and 2 top 10s. If you multiply it to the full season, you get 11 top 5s and 22 top 10s, compared to Jones's 2 top 5s and 17 top 10s. I'm not saying Benjamin could have kept up those stats, but he was clearly the better driver, and Toyota loses another talented driver. Since then, Benjamin has made a few starts with Nice and has been mediocre. He could have been another superstar with Toyota, but is probably fading to obscurity. Next, we'll look at Erik Jones, who in 2020 was in his fourth year Cup Series driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. In those 4 years, he had 2 wins, 33 top 5s, and 62 top 10s. They got rid of Jones in favor of Christopher Bell, who in his first year had 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, compared to Jones's 5 and 14 top 10s. Even though Bell raced without practice in qualifying, Jones was the younger and the more experienced driver. Toyota kept Bell, who has and got rid of Jones, who is now with Richard Petty Motorsports. William Byron was a prospect that had a ton of potential for Toyota. After recording possibly the best season ever by a rookie in the trucks, where he had 7 wins, 11 top 5s, and 16 top 10s in 23 races, Toyota lets him go into free agency instead of keeping him. Bubba Wallace probably has had the most interesting story to look at. He was originally Toyota development driver, then he went to Ford in 2015. Then he stayed there until 2017, when in the middle of the season his team ran out of funding. Then he went to Richard Petty Motorsports to fill in for the injured Eric Almirola, and after the season he was picked up by the organization, turned full-time in 2018, where he would race there for 2 more years. In late 2020, he would come back to Toyota drive for 23XI Racing, after driving for all 3 manufacturers. In his first stint with Toyota, he drove in the Truck Series for Kyle Busch Motorsports, where he had 5 wins, 14 top 10s, and 26 top 10s. I said 14 top 10s, 14 top 5s in 2 seasons. Toyota replaced him in a truck that had multiple drivers, so there was a lack of consistency on the team. Joey Logano has had the best career of the drivers Toyota has abandoned. He is the only driver that has won a NASCAR National Series championship in his career after Toyota dropped him. In his Cup career at Toyota, Logano had 2 wins, 16 top 5s, and 41 top 10s in 4 seasons, which was below average. Toyota dropped him for Matt Kenseth well before Logano at his time with Gibbs. Instead of keeping a driver who could have been a multi-time champion with them, Toyota dropped him. The final driver we will look at today is Todd Gilliland. Todd is a son of David Gilliland, a former driver and co-owner of DGR Crosley, a team that races in the lower series of NASCAR. In a season with Toyota, Gilliland has won 6 top 5s and 14, compared to his replacement Rafael Lesser, who had the same equipment a year later, achieved a win, 4 top 5s, and some top 10s. Toyota should have kept Gilliland because he was the better driver. In conclusion, Toyota has hindered many development drivers' careers and ruined others, proving that Toyota's driver development system is flawed. This is Andrew H21, signing out. Click the like button, subscribing the bell. Tell me in your thoughts in the comments why you agree or disagree with me. Bye.